Hi, I had an email from a subscriber who has asked me to help them because they don't seem to be getting through to customers with regards to selling their web services. So when I say web services, about website and search engine optimization, and I think they are frustrated because the challenges are that they are business owners, so they are getting through, the person is getting through on the phone to these guys. I'm reading it, sorry, so just so you know, but don't know how to get through, don't understand how I'm not, or why I'm not getting any interest. People are saying I'm not interested, I already have enough work, or the template design is fine, it's too expensive, I've not seen you before, probably meaning don't know who you are. Some company took my money and I didn't get anything. I have a website but it's not giving me any business and I'm busy. Okay, so I could sit here and I could give you an answer to every single one of those. And you know what, I will. But first, what I want you to ask yourself is, what are you saying on the phone to trigger these responses? So first of all, not interested. What did you say right at the outset that made that person turn around and say not interested? Let me give you something that's that I always find is really quite interesting. Have you ever heard of Pavlov's theory, Pavlov's dog? So Italian scientist, behavioural scientist, did an experiment with doggies, and cut the whole thing short. Let me give you the short story. Got a couple of dogs. He had a couple of dogs, and what he did was every time he put food out, he would ring this bell, and the dogs would hear the bell, come, see the food, salivate, eat the food. Okay? So again, he would put out the food. Every time he put out the food for the dogs, he would ring the bell. The dogs would hear the bell, come straight down, salivate, eat the food. All right? So so this has become a learned behavior, the learned behavior. One day, Pavlov didn't put any food out, rang the bell. Dogs heard the bell, came, looked at the empty bowls, salivated. Now, why would a dog salivate over food that isn't there? Why? Because they had what's called a triggered response. So it's called a conditioned reflex reaction. So these dogs were reacting, their reflexes were to salivate when they heard the bell. The bell was the association, that was the trigger. Now, you've got to ask yourself, what are you saying to get so that people are saying, I'm not interested? It's always one of those things, it's very difficult to explain, but I'm going to do it, and it sounds harsh when I say this, but really it's true. It's probably in what you're saying. It's probably because you sound like every other bugger that's on the phone, and you probably just need to stop, breathe, think about what you're saying on the phone as your opening intro. There are a number of reasons why people don't give you the response you'd be looking for. But not interested is one of those. It's a conditioned reflex reaction. And generally, it's a reflex reaction to, I don't understand what the hell this person's just said. Secondly, I've had an umpteen of these calls and they all sound the same, so I'm really not interested. Thirdly, it could be the timing, the time of day that you've called them that just isn't right for them. It could be that they just don't like the fact that you've just picked up the phone and called them just like that. They're busy. Now think about, I know what it's like to be an individual who's running a business, and I can tell you now, sometimes you can get caught at a time where you're thinking, I could really do without this. And you kind of listen to the person, and the first few words that the person says automatically switches you off because you're thinking, I haven't got time for this. Which answers the other objection that you had here. I don't have time for this. Of course you don't have time for this, especially if you don't understand what the person's saying. So think about it. Are you saying what you're saying with a fresh approach? Is what you're saying full of jargon? Because jargon, they're probably trigger words that make people think, I don't want to hear this. It's all about websites. I have also, and again, you know, this isn't to sound to try and categorize anybody or to kind of make any sort of, I guess, bold statements or sweeping statements about anybody, but what I will say is that I get a lot of phone calls about IT services from particular regions, and sometimes I'll hear that, and straight away I'm just thinking, I don't want to speak to this person. They're all selling the same thing, and it's now bugging me. So the answer to the question, how do I get over these challenges? Why are people not interested in what I'm saying? Is in what you're saying, not in what they're saying. What they're saying, remember, is only a reaction to what you're putting out there. Now, let me help you out here. Here's my tip to you. The other day I put this exercise out online. Okay, this one here. And I encourage you to sit down and think about filling these out. So what your services are, what your features are, and what your advantages are. Now, but keep it jargon free. From that, put together a reason why they should listen to you, this value proposition. But you've got to understand them, who they are, what's important to them. So do a bit of research first. And when you approach these people that you're speaking to, make it about them, not about you. Think about what you're saying. A lot of salespeople make it all about them. It's like me, and what I can give you. I can do this, I can do that, we do this, we do that, this is what we have, and it would be nice to hear somebody say, you know, I had a little look around just to try and understand who you are and what you're about, and one of the things I wondered is where your focus is right now in terms of your website. Now, that's a completely different approach to what I have heard time and time again from website vendors. So, all I can say at this stage is think about it, think about what you're saying, change it if you have to, and what I will do for you is, let me devise another exercise that'll help you, but I'll put that out next. For now, that's my message. Think about what you're saying. All of these objections, these challenges that you're saying, I'm not interested, I have enough work to do. These are not objections. I'm not interested is not an objection. You've given them nothing to be not interested in. It's not an objection, it's a reaction to what you've said to them. I have enough work already. Listen to that. Understand what kind of work have they got. Yeah, and at what point are they saying that? Are they saying this right at the beginning, or are they saying this after they've heard you? Or are you pushing too far, too fast? Because that kind of objection is quite early for this stage. The template design is fine. The template design meaning, okay, so they have a template design at the moment. Okay, that's great. How is it working? It's about thinking ahead. All right, so if you're happy with that, then at this stage, maybe the timing isn't right. You've got to also respect what they're saying. Don't push against them. It's too expensive. Okay, what is expensive? What's not expensive? I have not seen you. Well, then you know what? If you're talking to somebody who's a small business themselves, you'll say, well, then you understand exactly where we're coming from in the marketplace. It's all too shrouded by loads of big companies and not enough smaller businesses. But does it matter? Does it matter that you haven't seen us before? Let me introduce you. And some company took my money and I didn't get anything. Okay, right. So how much did they take? What did you agree on? What did you budget for? How do you feel about that? Engage with them. Understand what happened. If you were having this conversation with a friend, you wouldn't just try and push something on them, would you? You'd actually try to understand where they're coming from. And that doesn't mean they don't want or need a website going forward. They want empathy from you. I have a website, but it's not giving me any business. Right, okay, well in that case, we really need to look at that. How much did you spend on that? What kind of, what would you expect your website? Is it doing what it... Questions. I'm busy. Okay, if that person is busy, you don't know what they're doing. You don't have a camera on them, so they genuinely could be busy. Therefore, you've got to respect what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. don't just harp on and push forward, because when you start pushing forward, you just sound like a bull in a china shop, and everything that you touch or go ahead and try and sell is just going to break. So don't do it. So there's some ideas and tips for you. If you want any more, give me a shout. Thanks for your inquiry. I really do hope that's helped you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little link in the corner somewhere here or wherever it's going to be, just to say have a look at this video, because that's the video with that diagram in it, the paper copy of it, but it's got more explanation on it. And also there'll be a link here to say, look, subscribe if you like the channel, you like the information that I'm giving you, subscribe to the channel. It's been great to have you listening. Thank you for being there, and I hope that I can help you again in the future. Take care.